Everything is fine. Don't let that be you. Start the project early and ask questions if you have them. So project 1 is having you write an executive summary and an outro for data that's already been put into a report. So you'll be turning in just the executive summary and just the outro for your project. So the first question you might have, what is an executive summary? To talk about that, we're going to be talking about Back to the Future. So I'm going to give you an executive summary of the first Back to the Future movie. Spoiler warning ahead, spoiler warning ahead. I'm going to give you the executive summary of Back to the Future. My goal will be to summarize the whole entire movie into about 6 strong sentences. So let's give it a shot right here. Marty McFly is a high school student who loves to play guitar and hang out with his girlfriend Jennifer. Doc Brown is the crazy town scientist who lives all alone in a big house and is friends with Marty McFly. Marty McFly and Doc Brown, while doing a time travel experiment, accidentally send Marty McFly to the past. In the past, Marty McFly makes friends with his mom and his dad and disrupts the timeline, stopping himself from possibly existing. Doc Brown and Marty McFly work together to send Marty back to the future by using lightning from the clock tower. At the very end of the movie, Marty McFly returns back to the future and learns lessons from the past. Maybe my last sentence wasn't the strongest one. I don't want to ruin the movie too much, but go watch it. If you notice, I can't tell you everything about the movie in 6 sentences. That was my attempt right there to give a full executive summary of Back to the Future by trying to make each sentence as impactful as possible. And you might say that last sentence could have used a little more effort, and I agree. So take your time and write out your strong executive summary for the following report. So here's the report you'll be doing an executive summary on. This was data collected by YouTuber Mark Rober on the amount people tip for haircuts, along with the day of the week they visit, and their payment method, and their marital status. The report written by Smokey is already written for you. You just need to write the executive summary and the outro. So when you start a business executive summary, don't start off with my name is, or I'm in this class. That'll already be provided at the top with all the information on who you are. So what we usually want to start with is what is the business trying to address? What is the business problem? And I would include that in my first sentence to make it very clear. Here's what we're researching. Here's what we're concerned about. Here's what we're investigating. Next, I would take and go through the results. There are 4 graphs included in this report, and let's start looking through them. The first graph is a histogram, which is a univariate display of quantitative data. We want to take this paragraph right here and condense it down into the most important things. Now, don't copy paste it. That's not the goal of an executive summary. The goal of an executive summary is to somehow take this and condense it down. And we only want to do about 5 or 6 sentences, so we're going to have to choose wisely what we say. Next, we see that we have a pie chart and a bar chart, which both of these display univariate categorical data. Here's the day of the week people visit. I'm sure there's something of interest to this company regarding what days people get haircuts, and probably some way we could summarize that as a key important finding in our report. Next, we see the third graphic is a bivariate display of categorical data. We have payment method along with someone's marital status. And maybe there's an association to talk about here, things we can understand and communicate to somebody in the executive summary. Finally, we see right here that we have another bivariate display with a quantitative Y, tip amount, and a categorical X, payment method, making side-by-side box plots. So once again here, we want to see if there's big important things to communicate to somebody in the executive summary. We're trying to take all the important information within all the graphics and put them into our executive summary. Do not copy paste. Make sure every sentence contains numbers. We want to actually communicate the data and do our best job to take the whole report and summarize it in a paragraph of about 5 to 6 strong sentences. Lastly, in an executive summary, you want to make sure you give the action a business should take. So if you're suggesting they make changes or you want to make something very clear to them, then you should give that at the very end of your executive summary. The executive summary is once again going to contain a summary of what they're dealing with, a summary of all the results, and your action item for the business. So make sure all three things are very clear and all your sentences are impactful, and you should do great on your executive summary. Spoiler warning, to learn about the outro, we're once again going Back to the Future. At the very end of Back to the Future, Doc Brown returns to Marty McFly and Jennifer, and he tells them that their kids not doing so well. And Marty McFly and Jennifer go to the future with Doc Brown, and this is where the movie ends. It's a cliffhanger that gets you excited about the next movie and what's to come. So when you think about your outro, you don't want to just go back through your results. Someone's already read a summary of your results in the executive summary, then they could read the full results in the report. And in your outro, you need to bring creativity and mention things that you could do in the future. So the goal of an outro is kind of finding new work for the business. Maybe this hair salon didn't look into certain variables. Maybe there was relationships that you would like them to look into with the current variables they have. Think about if this was your job, what would you suggest to them? Where would you go from here? And that's the goal of an outro. Make sure to use data in your analysis for your executive summary and your outro. Make sure that each sentence is impactful, and also start early and ask questions, and you'll do great. So remember, the three objectives of an executive summary are to 1. Give the problem the business is currently dealing with. 2. Mention key findings and also give the data that backs those key findings. This means give the numbers in the report. And 3. Give the solution to the problem the business is currently dealing with. In your outro, bring your creativity. Don't simply restate the results. If your major somehow applies, whether it be animal science, business analytics, or psychology, find some way to use the ideas from your major to maybe build upon what the company is currently doing. This is your turn to be creative and give a new what if, where do we go from here scenario for the company. If you follow the advice in this video and ask questions and start early, you'll do great.